Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. My expectations when it comes to XRP's future performance remain high, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. I've said many times that it's just my personal opinion that all of the price action that has occurred after XRP hit its all-time high up to this point, in the end, isn't going to matter. I was just talking about this the other day, maybe literally yesterday, actually, because either XRP is going to do one of two things. It's either going to go to zero, which I do not think is probable, but I admit it's not impossible, or at some unknown point in the future, it's going to hit a new all-time high. I don't think there's a lot of room in between. That's why, for me, the bet is binary. There's almost no money in this space. And can you imagine, like, a couple decades out, XRP exists and it's not zero and it's not a fortune? It's not like it's just hovering around 40 cents. Like a couple decades from now, like, to me, that is a bonkers idea. I don't think that that's going to happen here. I'm very optimistic to the upside. And there's an analyst that pointed out in part what I was talking about literally just yesterday. I wanted to highlight that. And I know sometimes people are crabby when you talk about price expectations for the future. And I know there's a lot less of, price predicting I notice on social media when we're in a bear market, which isn't surprising. When people's, when things get euphoric again and we're in a bull market, everybody wants to talk about what the next price increase is going to be and when and how high so-and-so is going to go. But I'm willing to hear perspective regardless of whether or not we're in a bull cycle. So I want to share that. There's also this article from the Daily Hodl titled "Billionaire Mark Cuban Reveals Crypto Outlook After FTX Says Sam Bankman-Fried Should Fear Lengthy Stay in Prison. Prison isn't a word. Should fear lengthy stay in prison. And part of the reason I wanted to share it in a video like this one is because he ended up acknowledging something that I learned, or at least, I can say learned, but it hit me as an epiphany shortly after I jumped into crypto. I had this epiphany. It was my aha moment in terms of why I believed that crypto was never going to cease to exist as long as the internet exists, at least. And as it turns out, Mark Cuban is another person who seems to have come to the same conclusion. I think it's true. And that's another reason that I feel, and I'll get to it, but it's another reason why I feel like XRP is here to stay. It's another reason my expectations in terms of its long-term viability are very, very, very high. And then there's also this from the Daily Huddle. 2 investor cohorts are aggressively accumulating Bitcoin following FTX implosion. So says analytics firm Glassnode. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP's at 39 cents and Bitcoin's at 16,886. So it's nice that for much of the last 24 hours, a lot of crypto's actually been up. In fact, Bitcoin, despite fears that it's going to zero again for the 11 billionth time, Bitcoin broke above $17,000, and XRP actually was just a hair shy of 41 cents. And I will also say, and this is just my suspicion, just my unprofessional perspective, but if the contagion doesn't spread, my guess would be we've already seen the bottom for this market cycle. If the contagion spreads, I do not suspect we've seen the bottom of this market cycle. And just my suspicion, based on the gravity of what's happened with FTX and what appears to be happening with Genesis and BlockFi, they've gone belly up. They filed for bankruptcy the other day. My suspicion is that the contagion is going to spread. And if it hits Digital Currency Group, and Digital Currency Group owns Genesis, which is a prime broker for the entire crypto asset class, it's the only firm of its kind to that scale. If that goes under, the amount of fear that's going to hit, I think it'll be notable. And I also think that most people that were going to bail, they probably already bailed out of crypto. But there's still some room there, I suspect, to some degree, for major news like that. It's possible. So, but even if that happens, I'm still not going to be, hiding under my bed sheets or anything like that. I'll just take advantage of the opportunity, recognizing that at capitulation events, that's when it makes sense to buy it. That's what I believe for myself anyway. I'm not telling you to do anything or not do anything. You do whatever you want. But I will take advantage of that for myself personally. But so I just want to be clear here. Like, in terms of long-term viability, I don't make price predictions, but conceptually, I'm on the same page with chart analyst Leb Crypto, who shared some price expectations regarding XRP. Just yesterday in the morning, he said, XRP Macro Outlook, so big picture. He wrote, been range bound for 5 years now between 15 cents and $1.97. So I'll just pause to note here. This is in line. It's just another way of wording what I was basically saying the other day, that part, which is that all of the price action from when XRP hit its all-time high, I mean, so fine. He's looking at like from the bottom technically I think XRP bottomed out like 11 cents. He said 15 cents, whatever. And that would have been March of 2020. But so even if you look for that, it's fine. But I'm just saying in a general sense. So even if you move the goalposts a little bit, and I'm talking about from the all-time high of, $3.92 according to Live Coin Watch, all the way down to 11 cents, and all the way back up to almost $2. He wrote $1.97. That's fine. We're splitting hairs there. None of that's going to matter. That's just range-bound activity based on the number of people that are in the crypto space right now. That's what the crypto space could muster, especially given that the SEC is suing Ripple and trying to ruin XRP. That's what could be mustered to this point. That has nothing to do with utility, or very little anyway. And it's not an indication of whether or not XRP is going to hit a new all-time high. That in and of itself, the asset class moves in tandem. So it's in line with what I'm saying. So XRP, it might sound crazy because usually when you're talking about something being range bound, usually analysts aren't talking about 5 years. They're talking about for some shorter time frame, maybe weeks or months. And fair enough, you can do it for those lower time frames too. But if you're looking on a macro scale, yeah. I mean, you can have a market cycle that plays out over a span of decades. That has happened. Like that's happened to gold before. So if you're talking about being range bound for 5 years, that's what it looks like to me. And that's why I just don't give a damn. I will be as patient as I need to be. And as long as I see that all the metrics in terms of what I think it takes for cryptocurrency to be long-term viable, as long as that's all to the upside, I'll happily continue to hold my XRP and I will be Mr. Patient. I will outpatient anyone else. And that's why. And then Leb Crypto said, the price action suggests that it'll likely take another 1.25 to 1.5 years for macro range breakout, with my main target at $25. In validation of bullish thesis would be a monthly close below 15 cents. And he writes in parentheses, yes, it's possible. Maybe it's possible. You'd talk about complete calamity at that point. I don't even know what that would look like. I try to not rule anything out in crypto. We've already seen 11 cent XRP in March of 2020. Some people would have thought that would have been impossible. So I don't rule anything out, but whatever happens, it's just a bunch of nonsense in between. It's not an indication of XRP going to zero or hitting a new all-time high. It's an indication of nothing. It's range-bound activity. That's my personal opinion anyway. So even if we do have to wait, upwards of another year and a half as Leb Crypto cites as possible, what my response is? Okay. I am not the least bit impatient. And I went into this with that attitude of, okay, well, I can't control how long it takes. I'm just going to buy and I'm going to be more patient than anyone else, because I already knew even before investing in crypto for the first time in November 2017, that the people who get in and out of positions in the stock market are the ones who lose. I was already well versed with this concept. And then I found that absolutely it applies to crypto. And it's more important in crypto because people can more easily get shaken out because it's the most volatile asset class on the entire freaking planet. So my high expectations regarding XRP are completely intact. I am not fazed by any of this. And if XRP dips below 25 cents, I'm going to be in the negative again. Most of the time I've been in crypto, I've been down on XRP or roughly around break even. So if it goes back to that, okay. It's just range-bound activity. It's hard to envision that for some people because you think, wait, it's range-bound? You're talking about from, as Leb Crypto said, 15 cents up to $1.97? That's range-bound activity? Yes. I agree with that. I've been articulating that for years in a different way. He articulates it as a technical analyst. I articulate it as, I already know that stuff can take a long time to play out, just as a lay person. I already get that, and I'm just going to sit here and be patient. That's closer to how I typically articulate it. But yes, absolutely. Now to this piece from the Daily Huddle. Billionaire Mark Cuban reveals crypto outlook after FTX. Says Sam Bankman-Fried should fear lengthy stay in prison. Oh yes, he should. Shark Tank investor and Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban remains long-term bullish on crypto despite the steep devaluation witnessed by the asset class this year. In a new TMZ interview, Cuban says that he still believes in the future of the nascent industry and said, quote, separate the signal from the noise. There's been a lot of people making a lot of mistakes, but it doesn't change the underlying value of the applications. You still use it for DeFi, decentralized finance. There are all kinds of applications. That's all that matters, end quote. Cuban also tells TMZ that the co-founder and former CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, could end up in prison over his role in the collapse of the trading platform and the resulting loss of customer funds. Quote, I don't know all the details, but if I were him, I'd be afraid of going to jail for a long time. It sure sounds bad. I've actually talked to the guy and thought he was smart. I had no idea he was going to take other people's money and put it to his own personal use. That sure seems like what happened, end quote. Oh, yes. I think there's no shortage of data to prove that was what has happened, even in the public sphere at this point. And it's so interesting to see Mark Cuban state this because he's on Shark Tank. And then you juxtapose that to Kevin O'Leary, also on Shark Tank. And Kevin O'Leary just keeps talking about SBF. Oh, what a brilliant trader. Yeah, a brilliant trader, right, who allowed FTX to go to zero. But why are you even talking about calling him a trader? He's a Ponzi scammer. And Kevin O'Leary, he actually said that he would invest in a new crypto project from SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, if it were presented to him. It's just absolute insanity. There's something else going on there, I think. I don't know exactly what. There have been allegations that he's been more complicit than what's available right now. I'm not going to make that assertion. It's been reported. It's been in the news. It's been talked about by Ben Armstrong of BitBoy Crypto quite a bit. He thinks that is indeed the case. But it's just interesting to see these completely polar opposite perspectives from two different individuals who happen to be invested and very genuine believers in crypto, also in Shark Tank, but just, again, completely different perspectives. Piece continues. FTX filed for bankruptcy earlier this month after halting withdrawals. Earlier this month, the Dallas Mavericks owner explained his motivation for putting his money into crypto projects. And he said, quote, and this is the reason I really wanted to highlight this in this video. He said, why have I invested in crypto? Because I believe smart contracts will have a significant impact in creating valuable applications. I have said from day one, the value of a token is derived from the applications that run on its platform and the utility they create, end quote. Exactly. So if there's a cryptocurrency like XRP, which has real world utility, is solving real problems for real people, for real businesses, do you think that's going to go away? Because I sure as hell don't. That was my aha moment in 2017 when I recognized that valuable business models could exist that otherwise could not exist if not for decentralized cryptocurrencies with an open market price. And I understood back then even that the part about them being decentralized with open market price, those were important attributes. Because it changes trust dynamics and it makes new business models possible, as is what Ripple is doing in positioning XRP as a bridge currency via on-demand liquidity. And so I look at stuff like that and I look at what's happening in the short term, like, yeah, whatever, just let it keep playing out. And that's why when Lub Crypto is talking about a year and a half and then he's still targeting, he thinks $25 for XRP. I don't know if it's going to hit that the next market cycle. It doesn't sound insane to me, though. The idea of XRP one day being at $25, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It doesn't sound weird to me. There's more than enough money on the planet for something like that to happen. Depends on the degree to which it ultimately gets adopted. And when's the market sufficiently going to value utility? I don't have all of those answers. I'm just telling you, as long as things are going the direction they're going, I'm very optimistic. And then there was also this from the Daily Huddle. 2 investor cohorts are aggressively accumulating Bitcoin following FTX implosion, so says Glassnode. A leading analytics firm says that 2 groups of Bitcoin investors have been heavily loading up following the collapse of FTX. Wait a minute, pause. Are we supposed to be fearful, cowering, not knocking out of bed, just staying under the actual bed sheets for all of eternity? Isn't that what's supposed to happen here? Well, a lot of people were emotionally feeling like that's what would be appropriate, but there are always others who view this as an opportunity, and I'm one of those people. And a lot of these people have been making purchases. Piece continues. Glassnode says that shrimps, or entities owning less than 1 Bitcoin, have collectively accumulated over $1.55 billion worth of Bitcoin following the downfall of FTX. And here's the quote. Bitcoin shrimps have added 96,200 Bitcoin to their holdings since FTX collapsed. An all-time high balance increase. All-time high, folks. And then they say this cohort now holds over 1.21 million Bitcoin, equivalent to 6.3% of the circulating supply. I don't know that the circulating supply is a little over 19 million at this particular juncture in time. So how is it the case that people who find themselves in that category, Bitcoin shrimps holding less than one Bitcoin, how is it that they've reached an all-time high at such scary times? I'm not surprised. I'm not, and this is on-chain data. Like, you can just see that this is true. This is not in dispute. I'm not surprised because even though you see a ton of people capitulate during major capitulatory events, that's going to entice people that are more wired like me to be like, ooh, gimme, 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 gimme. We view it as opportunity. Be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. That whole thing, yeah, kind of rings true, doesn't it? Piece continues. Looking at crabs, or entities owning as much as 10 Bitcoin, Glassnode says that the investor cohort gobbled over $3 billion worth of Bitcoin in just the past month. Quote, Bitcoin crabs have also seen aggressive balance increase of 191,600 Bitcoin over the last 30 days. This is a convincing all-time high, eclipsing the July 2022 peak of 126,000 Bitcoin a month. End quote. Well, how about that? Another all-time high for that group of Bitcoin purchasers as well. And interestingly, the whales, they're the ones that are actually down over that same time period of 30 days, but not by much. You might be thinking, well, wait a minute. The whales, they're the ones that are in the know. What gives? What gives, Moon Family Sedan? Are they going to be driving family sedans in the future as well? No. They already done made it. They're good. But, is it something to be worried about? The fact that, they've slightly reduced their total holdings? No. In fact, wouldn't you kind of expect this to be the case? Because understand, a lot of these whales, they're not like individual purchasers. I mean, yes, individual purchasers, they're filthy rich. They exist. They hold tons of Bitcoin. Fine. But a lot of them are on the institutional side, hedge funds, this and that. With the chaos that's happening, at this point, is it a surprise that some of them, especially understanding the way that crypto contagions have worked historically and how they're probably working right now, is it really a surprise that some of them might have had to reshuffle certain things, and as a result, over that 30-day period, you see a slight decrease, and it's only a slight decrease, by the way, to this point anyway. Don't you think that maybe that's because some of them are actually in trouble and had to shuffle certain things? Wouldn't that make kind of a lot of sense? Because leading up to this, they weren't, before the FTX situation, they weren't. When everybody was fearful, they were buying. And now they're the ones that were most likely to get harmed by FTX on a noticeable scale. Because, look, fine, all sorts of people panic sold. If they're the shrimps or the crabs, as Glassnode's calling them here, fine. They panic sold, but now you get to the ones, things are dropping, but there are certain quantities that are still purchasing. Is it that surprising, really, that we don't see that with the Bitcoin whale specifically for this time period? I don't think so. Just my 2 cents there. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.